The mockery, the Valorian Empire had ruled the Orion Arm for 3,000 years. Their fleets were legendary. Sleek crystalline warships that bent light around their hulls, weapons that could shatter moons, shields that had never been breached in recorded history. And then they met humanity. The first contact happened at the edge of the Kepler system. A human exploration vessel, the UNSC Horizon, stumbled into Valorian space. It was a modest ship, bulky, covered in welded armor plating and exposed conduits. It looked like something pulled from a scrapyard. The Valorian patrol that intercepted it couldn't stop laughing. Commander Thalix, a decorated officer with 6 centuries of service, circled the human ship slowly. His crew monitored every detail. Primitive fusion drives, kinetic weaponry, no energy shields, no quantum cores. This is what they sent to explore the stars, Thalix said, his voice dripping with amusement. They're still using chemical propulsion for maneuvering thrusters. His tactical officer smirked. Shall we destroy them, Commander? Thalix waved a dismissive hand. No, let them return home. Let them tell their leaders what real power looks like. Maybe they'll learn their place before they embarrass themselves further. The Horizon was allowed to leave, but the damage was done. Within weeks, the footage of the encounter spread across Valorian space. Human ships became a galactic joke. Memes, entertainment broadcasts, even children's toys were made in mockery. Humans, they said, are the universe's maintenance workers. Good for labor, not for war. Back on Earth, the mood was different. Admiral Elena Vasquez stood in the war room deep beneath Geneva. Around her, holographic projections displayed the Valorian Empire's fleet movements. Dozens of ships, all moving toward human space. They're not coming to talk, said General Okoro, his jaw tight. No, Vasquez agreed. They're coming to conquer. Earth had been preparing for this moment since first contact. Humanity had no illusions about their place in the galaxy. They were newcomers, weak by comparison, outgunned in every measurable way. But humanity had one advantage the Valorians didn't understand. Desperation breeds innovation. What's the status of the Defiant? Vasquez asked. Okoro hesitated. Still experimental, ma'am. The reactor is stable, but we've never fired. The main weapon outside of simulations. Then it's time for a field test. The UNSC Defiant wasn't like other human ships. It was born from a secret project. Decades of work by Earth's brightest engineers. While the Valorians laughed, humanity had been watching, learning. Reverse engineering fragments of alien tech recovered from ancient derelicts. The Defiant was humanity's answer. From the outside, it looked no different than any other human warship, brutal, industrial, ugly by galactic standards. But inside, it was something else entirely. Captain Marcus Kane walked the corridors of his ship, his boots echoing against the metal floors. He passed crew members working in silence, engineers calibrating systems, Marines checking weapons. Everyone knew what was coming. Captain, said his XO, Lieutenant Sarah Reyes. Valorian fleet just entered the system. 15 capital ships, twice that in escorts. Kane nodded slowly. And us? Just us, sir, he smiled grimly. Then we'd better make it count. The Valorian fleet arrived like a tidal wave. Commander Thalix stood on the bridge of the Eternal Radiance, the Empire's flagship. Around him, the fleet spread out in perfect formation, 30 warships, each one capable of glassing a planet, and ahead, sitting alone in the black, was a single human vessel, the Defiant. Thalix laughed. One ship? They sent one ship? Scans show it's heavily armed, Commander, his tactical officer said. But the hull composition is still primitive. Titanium alloys, carbon composites. Then it will burn just as easily. Thalix opened a channel. His voice boomed across space, translated into Earth's languages. Attention, human vessel. You are in Valorian territory. Surrender your ship, and we may allow your species to exist as laborers. Resist, and we will erase your homeworld from existence. For a long moment, there was silence. Then a voice responded. Calm. Cold. This is Captain Marcus Kane of the UNSC Defiant. You want Earth? Come and take it. Thalix's smile faded. Destroy them. The Valorian fleet opened fire. Energy beams lanced through space. Plasma torpedoes streaked forward. The Defiant should have been vaporized instantly, but it wasn't. The human ship moved, not with thrusters, not with engines. It shifted, vanishing from its position and reappearing 5 kilometers away in the blink of an eye. Thalix froze. What? The Defiant fired! A single beam of light erupted from its bow. Not plasma, not lasers, something else. Something that screamed as it cut through space. It struck the lead Valorian cruiser dead center. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the cruiser folded in on itself. Its shields collapsed. Its hull crumpled like paper. In 3 seconds, a warship that had survived centuries of battle was reduced to a compressed sphere of molten metal. Silence filled the Valorian fleet. What? Thalix whispered.
What was that?
On the Defiant, Captain Kane's voice was steady. Graviton Lance, prototype, you wanted to see what we could do? He leaned forward in his chair. Let me show you. End of Part 1. The obliteration. The Valorian fleet scattered like startled prey. Commander Thalix gripped the edge of his console, his knuckles pale. Around him, alarms screamed. Tactical displays flickered with error messages. One of his capital ships, the Crimson Vengeance, was simply gone, reduced to a ball of compressed wreckage that tumbled through space, leaking atmosphere and radiation. All ships, evasive maneuvers, Thalix shouted. Focus fire on that vessel. Bring it down now. 29 warships turned their weapons on the Defiant. The human ship vanished again. It reappeared 3 kilometers above the Valorian formation. This time it didn't fire. Instead, something detached from its hull. Small objects, dozens of them. They drifted for a moment, seeming harmless. Then they activated. Each object was a gravitational mine. The moment they powered up, they created localized singularities, miniature black holes that lasted only seconds. But seconds were enough. 3 Valorian destroyers were caught in the field. Their hulls stretched like rubber, twisted, and then imploded. The ships didn't explode. They simply ceased to exist, crushed into points of infinite density before the singularities collapsed. Thalix felt something he hadn't experienced in 600 years. Fear. How is this possible? His tactical officer stammered. They're humans. They don't have this technology. They do now, Thalix whispered. On the bridge of the Defiant, Captain Kane watched the chaos unfold with cold precision. Graviton Lance recharging, Lieutenant Reyes reported. 60 seconds to full power. Weapons free on all secondary systems, Kane ordered. Keep them off balance. The Defiant unleashed a storm of firepower. Railguns fired tungsten slugs at relativistic speeds. Each projectile carried the kinetic energy of a tactical nuke. Valorian shields, designed to absorb energy weapons, shattered like glass against the physical impacts. Missiles followed. Not plasma warheads. Something older. Something the Valorians had forgotten about. Nuclear weapons. Dozens of fusion warheads detonated across the enemy formation. The Valorians had no defense against them. Their shields were optimized for particle beams and plasma. Raw atomic fire washed over their hulls, melting armor, frying electronics, killing crew. They're using fission. One Valorian captain screamed into the comm. How primitive. His ship exploded before he could finish. Commander Thalix had seen enough. All ships fall back. Regroup at... The Defiant appeared directly in front of the eternal radiance. Thalix's blood turned to ice. This close, he could see the human ship clearly. Scarred armor, scorch marks from 1,000 impacts, exposed weapon ports still glowing with heat. It looked like it had been through hell, but it was still fighting. A voice crackled over the comm. Captain Kane, you wanted to see what we could do. You wanted to know if humans were worth your time. The Defiant's main weapon began to charge. A terrible light built at its bow. Reality itself seemed to bend around the gathering energy. Here's your answer. The Graviton Lance fired. The beam struck the eternal radiance directly. But this time, Kane didn't just fire once. He held the trigger down. The lance wasn't designed for sustained fire. The ship's reactors screamed in protest. Alarms blared. Engineers shouted warnings. Kane ignored them all. The beam carved through the Valorian flagship like a blade through water. Shields collapsed instantly. The crystalline hull, stronger than any metal, shattered into fragments. Internal bulkheads folded. Crew were crushed. Entire decks compressed into centimeters of twisted wreckage. The eternal radiance broke in half. Then the two halves collapsed further, crushed by the gravitational distortion. By the time the beam finally cut out, The pride of the Valorian fleet was a field of debris, no larger than a shuttle. Commander. Thalix's last transmission was a single word: impossible. The remaining Valorian ships fled, 12 vessels, limped away at maximum speed, their formations shattered, their morale broken. They didn't even attempt to return fire. They just ran. On the Defiant, the crew erupted in cheers. Engineers embraced. Marines pounded on bulkheads. Lieutenant Reyes wiped tears from her eyes. Captain Kane sat in his chair, silent. "Sir?" Reyes asked gently. "We did it. We actually did it." Kane nodded slowly. "We did, and now they know." "Know what?" He turned to face her. His expression was grim. "That humanity doesn't quit. That when you back us into a corner, when you mock us, when you underestimate us..." He paused. "We become something you should have feared from the start." Far across the galaxy, in the Valorian High Council chambers, the news arrived. A fleet of 30 warships, destroyed, by a single human vessel. The council sat in stunned silence. Finally, High Prelate Vorath spoke. His voice was quiet, shaken. "Send a message to all border fleets. Do not engage human vessels. Do not enter their space." "But Prelate," one counselor protested, "they humiliated us." We must survive," Vorath snapped. "The humans used weapons we don't understand. Technology we've never encountered. If one ship can do this..." He trailed off, unwilling to finish the thought. Another counselor leaned forward. "What do we do?" Vorath stared at the tactical display, at the expanding cloud of debris that had once been the Empire's finest fleet. "We learn," he said quietly. "We watch, and we pray to the old gods that humanity never decides to come for us." Back on Earth, Admiral Vasquez stood before the United Nations Assembly. The chamber was packed. Every nation, every leader, all waiting for her report. She spoke clearly, calmly. "The Valorian fleet has been neutralized. The Defiant is returning home. We have suffered 0 casualties." The chamber erupted in applause, but Vasquez raised a hand for silence. "This victory came at a cost. We revealed our hand. The galaxy now knows we're not defenseless. Some will fear us. Others will test us. And a few," she paused, "a few will see us as a threat to be eliminated." She looked across the sea of faces. "Humanity has entered a new era. We are no longer explorers. We are warriors. And the universe is watching," she saluted. "We'd better be ready." Deep in space, the UNSC Defiant glided through the black. Captain Kane stood alone in the observation deck, watching the stars. Behind him, the debris field of the Valorian fleet slowly drifted away. Ahead, Earth hung like a blue jewel in the void. He thought about the battle, the lives lost, the power they had unleashed, and he wondered, how long until the next fight? A voice crackled over his comm. "Lieutenant Reyes, Captain, long-range sensors are picking up something. Unidentified contacts. Dozens of them. They're not Valorian." Kane closed his eyes, took a breath, then he turned and walked back toward the bridge. "Sound general quarters," he said quietly. "Here we go again." End of part 2.